coronavirus cases reported in Los Angeles County in the last 24 hours is 16,510, with 25 additional deaths. Here in Torrance, 230 additional cases were reported, with no new deaths. Welcome to COVID-19 Today. I'm Bella Shaw. It's Thursday, December 30th. LA County reported more than 16,000 new COVID-19 cases Wednesday, one of the highest daily case counts of the pandemic. The reported cases spiked 91% over the past week, jumping from 8,600 to 16,510. Test positivity rates more than doubled from 8.7 to 17.6%, and daily hospitalizations are up 30% from 770 to 1,069. LA County public health officials urge residents to scale down New Year's celebration plans, limit time indoors with non-household members, and isolate if feeling sick. As of Christmas Day, the Omicron variant is estimated to account for 59% of all U.S. infections and Delta for 41% of infections. Health officials say vaccines and boosters remain the best protection against severe illness and disease, especially during the holidays when many people may be traveling and gathering with others. They continue to encourage everyone to keep getting tested to help reduce the spread and adhere to masking requirements. Results from two recent studies show that Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 booster shot provides very strong protection against the Omicron variant. One study was conducted by the South African Medical Research Council and involved more than 69,000 healthcare workers from mid-November to mid-December. Researchers say 2 J&J shots reduce the risk of hospitalization from the variant by up to 85% during the trial if given 1 to 2 months apart. The study took place in areas where Omicron is dominant. The second study was conducted by Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center in Boston and found the Johnson & Johnson shot generated a 41-fold increase in neutralizing antibody responses when used as a booster shot for those who were fully vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine. By comparison, using the Pfizer shot as a booster generated a 17-fold increase in neutralizing antibodies. That study involved an analysis of the blood of 65 vaccinated individuals. According to CDC data, more than 1 million Americans received the Johnson & Johnson booster. The quick antigen tests many people have at home may be less sensitive to picking up the Omicron variant. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration says they're still a useful tool, but recent studies show they'll spot an infection less often. The FDA teamed up with the National Institutes of Health and are continuing their joint research. Antigen tests are generally known to be less sensitive than the PCR tests, which are done in labs, but they are fast, more affordable, and easy to do at home. The FDA suggests people continue using these tests and say if they test negative but still suspect that they may have COVID-19, they should follow up with a PCR test. Dr. Rochelle Walensky, the director for the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, emphasized the importance of these antigen tests, especially in school settings where students may test regularly. Abbott, a company that makes the Binax Now antigen test, has conducted lab analyses and tests on the Omicron variant from the live virus, and officials say their test detected the virus in all tests performed at the same sensitivity as other variants. LA bars and restaurants are voluntarily pausing indoor operations as COVID numbers rise throughout the county. The Roguelike Tavern, a bar in Burbank, canceled its New Year's Eve celebration. Its owner says the big surge of new COVID cases and the extreme transmissibility of Omicron led them to make this difficult decision. Amajak Thai in Sherman Oaks switched completely to takeout only in an effort to protect customers and staff members. That meant canceling reservations and extending their decision through January, as COVID-19 cases could rise significantly after the holidays. Lowry's, the Prime Rib in Beverly Hills, shut down all in-restaurant dining until the first week of January due to a staffing shortage. Similar situations may exist here in the Torrance area, so if you're planning to dine out, grab a drink, or even attend church in person, make sure to check their websites, social media, or call to see if they are still operating as usual. South Bay Community Church just posted this update, canceling in-person gatherings for the next 2 weekends after several people tested positive for the virus. In Long Beach, Police Chief Robert Luna tested positive for COVID-19. The department says he is vaccinated and self-isolating at home. The police department shared this message on Twitter saying, although feeling ill, the chief is in good spirits and hopeful that he'll feel better in the coming days. Chief Luna believes his symptoms could have been much worse if he were not vaccinated. They urge everyone in the department to get vaccinated and take proper precautions to help slow the spread of the virus. New coronavirus variants could emerge during the pandemic that are fully resistant to current vaccines. Now, that's the warning from the World Health Organization as COVID-19 cases hit record highs around the globe, including right here in the U.S. The latest surge comes more than 21 months after the agency first declared COVID-19 a pandemic. Agency officials say if a vaccine-resistant strain of the virus emerges, manufacturers will have to tweak their shots, which could mean a new supply shortage. So they emphasize the importance for nations to build up their local manufacturing supply of the vaccines before that happens. The organization called for countries to work together to improve global supplies and access to vaccines as crucial health equipment. The organization predicts the virus will continue to evolve and threaten our health system if we don't improve the collective response. A bird flu can lead to the next deadly pandemic. That's what researchers fear as they oversee a massive outbreak in Israel. Experts at the country's National Security Council are monitoring the situation in the Galilee region and believe it could lead to another dangerous pandemic in 2022. Now, as of Monday, at least 5,400 wild cranes have died in relation to the new flu, and farmers had to slaughter hundreds of thousands of chickens as authorities try to contain what they say is the deadliest wildlife disaster in the nation's history. 17% of the 30,000 Eurasian cranes passing through Galilee this winter died from the virus, and scientists fear that number could grow, with at least 10,000 others appearing to be getting sick. They say the bird flu has the ability to mutate into new strains similar to what we've seen with the coronavirus over the past 2 years. There could be a mutation that also infects people and turns into a major disaster. More than 500 million migrating birds pass through the Galilee region every year before going to Africa or Europe, posing a threat of spreading the virus to different parts of the world. The World Health Organization confirmed that more than half of the 863 cases it tracked among people resulted in deaths. But researchers say most strains or variants of the avian flu called H5N1 are difficult to transmit to humans. California's minimum wage will hit a milestone when it goes up to $15 an hour next year. Starting January 1st of 2022, businesses with 26 or more employees will have to pay their workers at least $15 an hour. That's a $1 increase from the current minimum wage. When the requirement takes effect, California will become the first state in the U.S. to mandate a $15 minimum wage. Parts of New York will also pay workers at least $15 an hour, and dozens of other states will raise their minimum wages next year. Meanwhile, employers with 25 or fewer workers will have to raise their pay to at least $14 an hour in 2022. That's also $1 more than before. The increases are part of a state law that has steadily hiked the minimum wage since 2017. LA Angels' Shohei Ohtani is the winner of the Associated Press's Male Athlete of the Year award. The unanimous American League MVP redefined modern baseball and captured the world's attention this year. Almost no one had been an everyday two-way player for decades, and nobody has been both a top power hitter and one of the best starting pitchers since Babe Ruth back in 1919. Angels manager Joe Maddon says Ohtani has been doing something we haven't seen in our lifetimes. He hit 46 home runs this season and struck out 156 batters over 23 games. The 27-year-old was also among the fastest base runners in the majors, stealing 26 bases and scoring 103 runs. Despite his achievements, Ohtani has been known to live a quiet life in both Anaheim and Japan. He says he is a student of the game and feels like he needs to grow every year. Congratulations to Ohtani for this amazing recognition. Americans returning unwanted holiday gifts will cost retailers a lot more than they did last year. Returns processor Optoro estimates that returns this year will cost businesses $33 of the price of a $50 item, up 59% compared to 2020. The technology company says 2 out of 3 shoppers will likely return at least one gift this holiday season. In all, it predicts that $120 billion in goods will be returned between Thanksgiving and the end of next month. Retailers are already dealing with elevated costs due to the supply chain crunch and a tight labor market. Despite the higher price tags, U.S. retail sales rose 8.5% year over year between November 1st and December 24th. Overall, this holiday season is on track to set new records. The National Retail Federation says holiday sales could grow as much as 11.5% compared to last year. U.S. retailers made $789 billion during the 2020 holiday season. Well, as we head into the weekend, be sure to tune in to Weekends in Torrance. New episodes air at 2 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. On Friday, take a look at the many businesses in Torrance that celebrated grand or reopenings with ribbon-cutting ceremonies and applaud their resilience to rebuild the local economy despite the ongoing challenges brought on by COVID-19. Then visit Newberry, a new coffee and tea shop in North Torrance, and hear the owner's inspiring story of pursuing her passion as a small business owner. And on Sunday, learn how Hydration Aesthetica Med Spa is adjusting to help clients during this pandemic. These stories and much more will be airing this weekend starting at 2 p.m. You can find us on Spectrum Cable Channel 3, Verizon Fios Channel 31, streaming on our website as well as on YouTube. Well, before we go at the end of each program, we like to share more feel-good stories from our community. Pictures, images, and videos that remind us of how resilient our community is and how Torrance truly cares. As 2021 comes to a close, let's review some of the events we covered right here in Torrance. In January, we provided virtual tours of the Torrance Art Museum so our community members could enjoy art safely during COVID-19. In February, City Cable's Christine Lee shared tips on how to look and sound your best on your Zoom calls as many meetings went virtual. In March, we celebrated Women's History Month by featuring retiring CEO Jane Zalek, whose passion for science led her to grow polypeptide from a shoestring budget to a worldwide operation with 7 buildings in Torrance alone. Back in April, we showed you how Torrance Memorial teamed up with Torrance firefighters and the LA County Public Health Department to deliver COVID-19 vaccines to residents' homes through a pilot program. Then in May, Torrance celebrated its 100th anniversary of its incorporation. And in June, a Torrance mom and lawyer helped her kids and their classmates to stay engaged in virtual school by holding a Zoom mock trial. July, a father's love for his daughter, who is hard of hearing, led him to create a first-of-its-kind emergency beach evacuation system at Torrance Beach using lights. In August, National Night Out resumed after a year off due to the pandemic, with neighbors, city officials, and police getting together throughout the city. In September, the city commemorated the 20th anniversary of September 11th, the tragic day when nearly 3,000 lives were lost. In October, City Cable's Leslie Robbins shared the joyful story of the Torrance Little League's historic journey to the World Series. In November, the city held a virtual Veterans Appreciation Program featuring lots of our local veterans. Earlier this month, a group of young entrepreneurs held their very first children's business fair and sold lots of handmade products just in time for Christmas. We look forward to covering many more stories of our community in 2022. So if you have an upcoming event, a photo or video you'd like to share, email us at covid19today@torranceca.gov. We'd love to hear from you. Well, that's our update for COVID-19 today. Have a great New Year's weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday as Leslie Robbins brings you the latest. Be safe, stay healthy, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.